Welcome, welcome, welcome to Alchemizing Energy. Today we have another banger of a show for you. Today we have special guest. He is the owner of the Spiritual Shade Room, author of the Blueprint of Darkness, metaphysicist, Gnostic occult lecturer, and reality engineer. Without further ado, I will bring to the stage Brother Ani Osaru. Welcome, welcome to Alchemizing Energy.
Peace. What's going on with you, Genesis?
Peace. Lately we have been having more Gnostics join. Like, I had brother what's his name? Unk, Knock the Punk up here, and he said that he considered himself a Gnostic. He talked about Abraxas and Sophia and things like that. And we also had a Gnostic Christian named Dwayne, and he was a Gnostic Christian, and he came up and discussed Gnostic Christianity. And I said, well, you know what? I know another Gnostic, another person that not only gets into Gnosticism, but gets into a lot of other things, like, really when it comes to a lot of information. And I said, you know what? Let me revisit Brother Ani. So I wanted to have you come up here and give your presentation and talk about, like, the latest, like, in what's going on, because I've interviewed you about almost a year ago. And you talked about a lot. We got a lot of things covered, and a lot has happened since then. So I just wanted to bring you back, So welcome, welcome again. Here is Brother Ani Osaru.
Yeah, it's good to be back. I mean, as far as putting together a presentation, I don't know about all of that, but I will, bring it all together when it comes to what this whole thing is about. What Gnosticism? I've heard the other brother before, and I don't knock anybody who's trying to pry the layers back of consciousness and understand how this whole thing is put together, going beyond just Christian beliefs, the three Abrahamic religious beliefs, and understanding the aspect of what actually Gnosticism is, and understanding who we are, and what are we here to do. And it's all manifested and understood through what the occult is. Now, most people will look at the occult and look at that as a dark term or something relatable to Satanism or something demonic whenever you hear the word occult. But the occult just means the science behind the invisible, the science behind what's unseen, and how we can relate to the spirit and the soul in the mind, in actuality, because it works through the mind, and how we put together the layers of these energetic forms and bring it manifested forth. So the occult has nothing to do with all of that other stuff. It is a term that actually means spiritual, the science of the spiritual. And Gnosticism is a term that was created in the maybe 14th century. I don't really know the exact. I know the Valentinian Gnostics had a different viewpoint than the Sethians, and the Mandeans had a different point from the Sethians. All of them draw from the conclusion that we live in a simulation, though, and that there is a deitic consciousness, a egoic factor of this particular universe that manifested what we call the 3D block physical universe before us. Now, I heard 607 Aunt speak about Sophia a lot and relate back to certain things, but we have to clarify what these things are. I think a lot of times, and not knocking the brother at all, because I heard him on Brother Sanchez. We had him on. Brother Sanchez had him on, and I came up and spoke a little bit when he was on, or after he got on. A lot of times in our community, we like to sensationalize things. We want someone like a YN looking guy or a hood looking guy to come out here and sensationalize the themes and say a lot of provocative type of sayings that'll get you up out of your seat and pretty much I call it this schizoid babble. I'm not saying everything that the brother is saying isn't relative to Gnosticism, but if people saw certain things that he says about Gnosticism, and he has these big platforms he's been going on, they're going to think that Gnosticism is relatable to how he puts it. And I would like to clarify that's not at all, what Gnosticism is about. And we can get into it and clarify some of the things and cover other things. If the other person you says some things, I would be interested in answering questions and helping people understand how this all comes together. And then we'll come full fold so people can know what the Moonchild is, what exactly the Illuminati is, not from a standpoint of Hollywood and the version of the Illuminati that everybody else puts it. We're going to get into the intricate layers and show you how this thing came about.
When I interviewed and we began to talk about life, and because the first interview I did with him, it was, are we alive or are we dead, right? And he pretty much said that we are all deceased, and that there's this being named Sophia, and then there's the demiurge, and how I think the demiurge got sent into the firmament, and Sophia is the mother, and then you have Abraxas, which is the not all-seeing God, and that we're on a prison planet, that we're stuck on this planet, and that we just keep basically redying, and that he even stated that I probably have died 5,000 years ago, and I'm just reliving, and even when you die, you just do the same thing over and over again until you get it right. But not necessarily from he didn't necessarily get into reincarnation, so to speak, but he pretty much said something to the effect of, you're already dead. You've been dead, for a long time. You just don't know that you're dead, and that was pretty much the thing. And he got into Gnosticism. So I'm gonna play a little bit. Hold on, let me play a little bit of what he said. Let's go. Because I never heard of I know about agnostic. I never heard about Gnosticism. Let's go.
Believe me, just check the Book of Adam. Book of Adam tells his kids, he say, yo, once upon a time, me and your mother was aligned in the same body. Which means
pause that.
Masculine and
the book is called The Apocalypse of Adam, not the Book of Adam. It's called The Apocalypse of Adam. But continue.
Feminine energy was once together. So that tells you that you're on earth to align, but they put it on the outside of you. They put the woman over here and the man over here. So now the only time you really have a connection with a female, if y'all kind of joined by the souls, other than that, it's fake.
Yeah. And so, and when you think about even the sexual things as sex, that even it should be done a certain way, because it is actually a form of meditation, and you can actually bring things into existence, not only just children, but actually ideas. You could actually sexual energy is one of the biggest creative energies there is. Sometimes you can manifest things through it, so people gotta be very...
like Elon Musk manifested.
Yeah, see, that's the schizoid part. We got to stay on subject matter. Let's clarify what he's saying about the Apocalypse of Adam. In the first verse of the Apocalypse of Adam, the one thing that's different biblically or from religious texts is that they tell you that a portion of Adam was given to Eve. They clarified that in that text that that's not true, that we actually come from a divine feminine, which is Sophia. But when we came into physical form, before we was in physical form, we was a androgyne. Mm-hmm. The androgyne is, of course, androgynous. That means that the soul was partially feminine and partially masculine, and it was, together. Now, some of the other things he's talking about, being dead, that is true, but it's esoteric thought in actuality, because the physical existence, as we know, is a simulation. So he's saying in a different type of way that we aren't alive in the simulation, that our spirit and our soul is the only true thing that's actually experiencing what we call existence. And what we are as physical beings are an emanation of what the spirit and the soul and mental energy is in these other spiritual planes. So we're a emanation in this whole existence. This simulation is all about emanationism. It's emanationism. So that's actually what he's saying, to put it in real terms. Now, as far as what he says something about the God or somebody being trapped in the firmament or something like that. That's sensationalized thought as well. The entity he's speaking of is Yaldabaoth, sometimes called Saklis in the Gnostic text, and sometimes called Samael, which is a falsely given name once you get deep in Kabbalistic and Zoharian thought. This Yaldabaoth is pretty much the egoic forms of energy that's in the quantum states of matter. It's not just in the firmament, it's all through the block universe. So whatever is in the physical and trapped here, there's this other egregoric thought form of energy that moves things across what we call the void. What is moving the particles across the void and causing these things to materialize, become solidified in what we call the block universe. The energy behind that is Yaldabaoth, or it is what we call the demiurge. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
Okay, so that's just clarifying that what he's saying about the dead god, Osiris is called the dead god of resurrection. You get the Jesus story. These gods have to die, but it's esoterically that they have to die because the state of creation has to be pulled out of the state of destruction. That's the Qliphoth to the Kabbalah. The Qliphoth is the tree of knowledge spoken of in the biblical text, and the tree of life is the Sephiroth, the opposite, which is creation. And we're speaking about how God in his mind state, or how the divine powers of deities create and how they destroy, and is broken down into a physics equation. Sex, what you were speaking of, is nothing but a mathematical equation. It's a quotient between balancing the masculine and the feminine. And out of the equation, you have a problem, and then you have what is the solution, and manifestation is the solution, which is birth. That's what the zeros and ones are,
right?
In computation, the zero is the feminine, the one is the masculine. The zero is the yoni, the one is the phallus,
right?
So
and I get into I'm a priest in Ifa, and we have that divination system where they utilize the Opele or the I King to come up with those numbers to actually tell you exactly what's going to happen past, present, future. But the whole entire act of getting that information is like mimicking a sexual act. And that's what I actually found out over time, is that it's mimicking sex.
Well, the sex is just coopulation. When two energies can converge and produce something out of what it is. The whole aspect of magic, manifestation, incarnation is making something. Is also alchemy. This is the basis of alchemy, is making something new out of two things that's not it. So if I take two things, like let's say I'm making a pot of gumbo. If I'm making gumbo, I have to chop up meat. I have to do, put all of these other things, and I put it in a pot. And once I put all of these things in a pot and I get it to boil, all of those little things now become what we call gumbo, correct?
Yes.
Or and you could put this for any meal that you make. other things and you combine it and it becomes something completely else. That's alchemy. So we're speaking about the invisible form of that when we're speaking of the primal aspect of sex. And then you have the physical aspect of sex is us remanifesting down into what we call the block universe through way of copulation.
And that's a lot of times when you have all these like rituals and stuff, what they call so-called Hollywood, you know, that they're probably just manipulating that energy because they know that, oh, okay, through these different acts, we can make something like manifest things and things like that, you know?
Yeah, they're hacking the system pretty much, but go ahead.
Mm-hmm. So I want to play a little bit more of what he said here. Let's go. Well, hold on, let me. That death is really like we're here. Are you talking about like a multiverse, or are you talking about like a matrix type of thing where if you were to pass on and come back up, we'd be like in some kind of matrixy type of thing,
y'all
coming out some kind of pod type of thing?
Y'all. Let me tell you what happened when you died. Why you hurt? You hurt because you were scared. You hurt for a reason. You're not hurt just you've been hurt like 5 times, probably 4. But let me tell you what happened when you die. A lot of people don't know because they know, but they can't remember. So when you die, see, let me tell you one thing. So a lot of people don't know when they die because they haven't never consciousness. So there's 7 things. You got 7 emotions inside of you, and you got consciousness, right? And so your consciousness can't attach to none of them. The problem is people think that they self with their emotions. So after death, they can't recognize themselves. So after death, when you die, you kind of like got like 4 eyes. Your eyes go forward and backwards, right? So you can see forward and back of you and side to side. You can see everything. You got a clear vision, and you don't feel weight anymore because you don't have none of them emotions on you, right? So the emotion, the weight is gone, but when you look in front of you, you're going to see a white light. And everybody talks about this white light from back in the Egyptian days. Everybody that died of this white light. The person does, they think they see a white light. The problem is you do not see a white light. You actually are looking at you because your eyes go forward and backwards. And what people do is they run from that reality, but you can't run from yourself. So you kind of like back yourself up. So when you back yourself up, you take yourself to another multitude of tricks. And these multitudes of tricks, they show you people that you love and the people that you think you love. But the problem is with the people you think you love is you don't know who they was in their past life. Let me break it down to you like this. You can be with your mama today like, oh man, why my mama looking at me like she want to fuck me because your mama was your bitch in your past life. That's why a lot of people don't know. Right? That's why your mama want to get down and suck on because like she used to fuck on you in a past life. But then when you do it in this life, they're going to lock you up and send you to jail. I'm not saying it's right.
Yeah, let's pause that, okay? Because we... Yeah, so we have to clarify these things because it's like I say, it's sensationalized. Is what I mean when I say that. We're trying to say the most explosive material that we can think of to attract attention. What he's speaking about is emanationism. Again, emanation is a false copy, a projection copy of something like that. So let me clarify something that he's not really clarifying, and I don't want to do that the whole video because I do want to break this thing down.
Right. No. I just wanted to get into Gnosticism real quick because of the fact that she said you were Gnostic and yes, I don't.
No, we're good. I'm just saying that I don't want to derail because he has his base as well, and I don't want to make it seem like, oh, I'm coming here to break his whole thing down. I just want to clarify that there are scholarly Gnostics that can come out here and give you a breakdown. So what he's talking about, not knowing your loved ones or after death, the emotions. He's speaking about the says something about 4 eyeballs. I got to go back all the stuff like that. Okay, so if you aren't ritualizing your practice of getting out of the body, there's a form of astral or etherical projection that people speak of. You do this, a form of this during dreams. You do it a lot during dreams. You do it all the time during meditations. And there's other ways for you to project yourself out through meditative trance states to project your astral body outside of yourself. And there's also soul projection. Some people confuse astral projections with soul projections, 2 different things. But when you're practicing these things, what you're doing is acclimating yourself into the invisible. And the invisible is a part of these Gnostic terms called aeons. Aeons are emanations from something called the monad. The monad is the one true primal realm. If you were to show a diagram of how energy comes into the 3D universe, at the top you have the one. The one is called the monad. This is the source code of everything. Everything is programmable from this one aspect, and that one aspect is also androgyne or androgynous as well. It's masculine and feminine. And then you have these matriculations of other energetic zones that we call aeons, until we get down into this software program called Sophia, which produces this this demiurge virus that we're dealing with in this system we call the 3D. These emanations also occur in our lives spiritually. So when he said there's past lives where someone could be a different type of relationship with you, like your mother could have been something to you in the past life, he's not lying by saying that. But the thing that he probably hasn't fathomed, because I don't know how long he's been in this, is that the reason you have two choices in this realm. You either can remain human and condition your mental, spiritual, soul aspect to being human, or you can evolve what we call ultra terrestrial or beyond terrestrial consciousness. And this is when you do get into multi-dimensional physics, which we teach on Patreon. Hyperdimensional physics is when once you convince the subconscious that you aren't human, that you're having this block universe experience, then you won't have to remember or see past lives of what he's saying about family members or friends or anything. If you see that, that means that you condition yourself around that. You never cross the abyss in your life. When you look at the Kabbalistic tree, the different spears or the spirae, or what they call the sephiros, are the important breakdowns and factors of your life that occurred to you. So if I were to break your life down, I'll put Kether here, I'll have Geburah here, Shazed here. All of these is you broken down, and all of your experiences of what you believe, or big instances like a traumatic happening. Like to me, my father passed when I was 9. That was probably the most traumatic happening in my life. Other people have more traumatic happenings. These are connected to your Doth, your Chezet, your Geburah, portions of you that's broken down. Once you cross the abyss, which the Masons and all of these other people teach, you're supposed to absolve yourself, forget all of these human emotional trigger aspects, so you can go into Kether and go into another light body that isn't human. Does that make sense?
Yes, and he did talk somewhat about the fact that you have to get rid of all attachments. And I'm glad that she said detach. And then he talks about the fact that a lot of people, when they pass on, they begin to what they call panic. And then that's the reason why they get sent back to
Earth. The only reason you will panic because you didn't ritualize, which means practice, a practicality of getting out of the body. We're taught, when we talk about the matrix being conditioned and programmed, we're not taught K-12 how to get out the body. Matter of fact, that is almost sacrilegious to even speak about that in the society. How do you get out of the body? How do you live? How do you be in the body and also evolve spiritually while you're in the body? Religion can't do that for you. And they created that system because the word religion comes from another Latin etymon, religare, which means to hold back. It means to restrict. It means to constrict you. That's literally what religion means. So they're constricting you to help the reincarnation system. So what these things called archons and demiurge, the energetic patterns that move the particles in the quantum, can use you as basically the power source to keep this illusion going. We are at the forefront of why the illusion is here. When we take our conscious fields, every one of you who are listening, we're all fields of consciousness. We are a conscious field. We are the observers of the conscious field. Collectively, our conscious field is what makes what we call the simulation, the matrix, and so on. So yeah, you can practice getting out of the body. The ancients were doing it. I've done it. You know, if you been in this science for a while, you can pretty much have a strong, convincing agreement that there's realms beyond the physical. I don't know.
So I mean, hell, you leave your body when you dream every night. Some people say astral projection is getting out of your body when you meditate and you leave your body. So yeah. So I think that, you know, I mean, I think that he's saying things in a way for people, the what they call them now, they call them the YNs to understand, right? You know, just like when Sarah Sutin said he back in his day, he kind of was cussing and doing this and saying it like this. And then that got people to understanding. I think he's kind of like following kind of a similar path where he's saying in a certain way for people, for right now, the young people to understand what or whatever, talking on their level. And saying,
I don't have a reason with him saying it, but the schizoidism is, you know, we can't go 10 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour in a sentence. You know, sometimes when these new people, when they speak about these things, I've been talking about this shit for 10 years. You can't go from 10 miles per hour to 90 miles per hour. We have to clarify these things if we're talking to people that don't know anything about it. I teach advanced classes on Patreon, but if you're talking to people who don't, they're not, you know, true to this realm, they're just understanding it, then we have to break these things down in a way so they can understand it. So I would love to speak to someone who says it that way. It'll be hard for me, but I would love to be there to clarify some things, you know, because I mean, we can talk in, you know, Negro language. We can talk like that and do all that. I can go into nigger language if you want to, but it's better for us to present this thing as very serious. This isn't something you play around with. You could play with the matrix. Play with the matrix. Don't play around with this type of stuff. Because
it's life and death.
Yeah, it's beyond life and death. This is
eternity.
The pinnacle. This is the zenith of what consciousness is. So you can't babble. You got to know exactly what you're saying and clarify it. If you're going to get into this type of realm, and this is what you're going to do, because it's not going to do the YNs a favor if you're speaking on one subject and then the next sentence you go way out and say some other stuff. You're going to confuse, and they're going to call you whatever they want to call you, and they should call you that, because if they're listening, they're looking up to you to clarify this thing. We can't be silly or subjective. We have to be objective for people to understand it, if that makes sense.
Right. And you know, and I thank you for clarifying that, because I had never really heard about, you know, Gnosticism in that level. You know, now that you're talking about the Kabbalah, you're bringing up the Sephiroth and all this other stuff. Is Gnosticism also the Kabbalah?
Yeah, Gnosticism is all esoteric thought. The word Gnostic comes from gnosis, Gnosis means knowledge, anything pertaining to knowledge, but it's the highest, the lower aspects of knowledge and the higher aspects of knowledge. The original triactis, and when you look at it on a diagram, looks like the Kabbalah. You have the monad, you have Barbello, or the Bythos. You have Bythos, Barbello, you have monogamous, you have Althades, autogamous, you have Akamoth, and you have Sophia, and these other down to the demiurge programs. So they're showing you from the quantum realm, the invisible state, how these things are layered and how do we become physical. They're showing the programs, you know, within the software. They're showing you everything in it. Go ahead.
It was interesting when you bring up the zeros and ones, the binary code, and now we're getting into quantum computing. And so I don't know. So now that's going to be a quadratic code that they're bringing in. It's a 4 level. And, you know, like I said, I'm a practitioner of EFI. And I found out through Baba Yashabaya, who I've had on my channels, that there's not only that actually for a man, you would do different readings to EFI. If anyone who does not know what EFI is like a database. And then you have the oracle, the people that actually cast the shells to find out past, present, future. They normally use a binary code of zeros and ones to tell you exactly what's going to happen. And then there's a series of whether they might be sacrifices when there's something wrong or something good to either maintain your status of imbalance or out balance, to either maintain balance, or if you're out of balance to bring you back into balance. And all those things are really based on behavior modifications, etc. And he was talking about quadratic. There's when you actually divine for a female, you would use that quadratic code. And all this stuff is really based on numbers. Language at one point was based in numbers. All this stuff is really numbers and numerical. And that when we get back to the numerical aspect of things, and you actually get back to the source of everything.
The numbers come from the Chaldeans. And what they did was go outside and look at the sky, and they studied the position of the stars, the astrotheology. The movement of the stars is showing you the vibrational spin rate of consciousness. So if I did 1 or 2, I'm saying that there is a revolution to a cycle, a spin rate to vibration. Really is the hydrogen. What hydrogen is as it spins, the faster it spins, it creates other elements. And vibration within itself is factored or acknowledged through acknowledging what numbers are. Numbers is the symbolism of vibration. That's all it is. So when I draw a 1 and I draw a 2, this is nothing but a symbol to represent the vibrational spin rate of the revolutionary cycle that I'm looking at. So each number is only 1 through 9 numbers. That's the only, real numbers. If we understand the Ogdoad, these primordial deities, it's 1 through 9. 0 can count as well. That represents as the womb, but it's really 1 through 9. But yeah, so the Chaldeans created these symbols to acknowledge the spin rate of the cycles of vibration. The Egyptians adapted that, created their own system based on the Chaldeans, and then the Greeks picked up the Egyptians' system, and then it matriculates down to us, and we utilize it the way that we utilize it. But these are all calculated. I would like to clarify from the stars. The stars are like the nodes of consciousness. If we have telephone lines to send signals so we can, speak on the phone, or the connection to the Wi-Fi, the cables, the fiber optic cables, all of these type things. The stars represent the nodes, just like the towers of the cell phone towers and all of that. That's what the stars are to our consciousness. So they're acknowledging all of these nodes and they're calculating the vibrational spin rate of it, and they give a symbol to it, and we call it numbers.
So with all that being said, okay, so now we get into Hollywood. You have a Terrence Howard that is talking about like that he came up with a whole new system of how to do multiplication. The numbers are wrong. We've had them all wrong all along. And I'm trying to lead into, you know, the Illuminati I don't know what the Illuminati Moonchild is. I'm trying to lead into it.
So every person on the world stage, they either know it or they don't know it that they're a Moonchild. They don't let, Bobby Hemmett used to say, that's my master teacher. He used to say, they don't let you on TV or they don't put you on a big platform if if they don't have some type of control or agenda behind why they're putting you out there. Mythology comes from a word called Mantu. It's from the Gerald Massey's, what is it, the seven, I can't remember the name of his book, but it's relative to Egyptology. But in the book by Gerald Massey, all of his books, he mentions this word called Motu. And Motu means truth. That's all it means. Mythology, they made it so that mythology means something fake or false. When you hear the word myth, you kind of think it's something of a story that's actually false, but it's trying to tell you something. But it's the actual truth. They're taking characters and they're attaching names to these characters to represent the fluctuation of energy. So people in the industry, especially Hollywood, if you've been in a movie, if you're a public figure, if you're a political figure, celebrity, whatever attached to makes you a name that rings out in the world. All of these people are what we call a moonchild. And I have a scholarly definition that I will be posting on my YouTube, maybe this upcoming week, to clarify the definition of what the moonchild is. Matter of fact, can I share screen? Let me see. Hold on. Let me
go ahead and share. Yeah, for sure.
Hold on.
This is your space now. We're getting into what you're talking about, and this is gonna be all you right now. Yeah, I'm learning at this point. Now you're getting into something I can't even speak on. I never heard of this, so this is new.
Yeah, this is from the realm of magic. So if you don't know what a thalamite is, or if you don't understand what Aleister Crowley, the Golden Dawn, the Western occult tradition, then you're probably going to be confused by a little bit of this information.
Yeah, I do know about Aleister Crowley. I do know about how like he utilized things and was able to like utilize certain aspects of rituals to bring about certain demons and things like that and all that stuff. And also using releasing those demons and then not being able to close the portal. Actually, you know who talked about that is Unky did speak about that in the last thing that we spoke to. So
yeah, that's all Hollywood. That's all Hollywood stuff.
So it's not. So is that stuff not true about this whole story?
Literal. You can't take these things literal. Do you see my image?
Yes, I do. Here we go.
Okay, make sure. So you can't take these things literal. Let me read this definition. I'll get into what we're talking about with that. So a moonchild in context is a programmed magical political being selected at or before, that's a quotation, before birth to act as a vessel for ritualized control, influence, and symbol generation across their lifespan. Their existence is orchestrated through layers: biological heredity, that means bloodlines; social environment, engineered trauma or exaltation; symbolic triggers, that's a mythic name, birth timing, numerology; and exposure to archetypes, media, colors, logos, and roles. The child is raised not merely as a person, but as a sigil, that's a symbol, a particular type of symbol, made flesh. So they're flesh sigils. That's what a moonchild is, crafted by secret operators who understand the energetic mechanics of mythology, mass psychology, and occult causality. Does that make sense to you?
Sounds like marketing. Sounds like that they are not even real people, or maybe they might be is it like a bloodline of people that are like brought into?
You have to read. See, this is okay. Something like this, you can't read it one time to understand it. This takes time to understand what this is. So that's why I'm preparing these graphics so people can really get an understanding what these people are and why a incident like Carmelo Anthony, I'll get into the black boy that stabbed the white boy at a track game. Why on the same day he stabbed this boy, that the NBA player Carmelo Anthony went in the Hall of Fame the same day? What's the odds of that?
Wow. You know what?
Carmelo Anthony, the basketball player, goes into the Hall of Fame, and then this other Carmelo Anthony kid stabs this other, kid, and it's the biggest story in America. Twitter's arguing all of it. This is Moonchild, and this is some real magic that they're doing on the public that is beyond fathoming what is occurring.
Mm.
So when you were talking about Aleister Crowley, one thing we have to understand with the Goetia, we're still speaking about energetic layers of the mind. In our mind, there is a network of consciousness that unlocks the mind, and we only use about under 5% of this network of consciousness. You ever heard that we don't use the full capacity of the brain? You ever heard that before?
Yes, I have.
Okay, so they say we use probably maximum 10%.
Yes.
Well, the other 90% is what the Goetia is. Mm-hmm. That 90% is when you get into the sixth sense area, where you're able to do these things that will be called miracles, that will be called magic. It will almost be called sorcery. You got people that have lycanthropic abilities that can actually shapeshift into beings, or not beings, creatures, animals. Especially if you go into Africa and these other places, they can actually shapeshift. Going way back to the natives on this land, the indigenous people, they could do the same thing. So how are you able to do that? The Christians just chopped it up and said, yo, this is all demons. Now, the word demon comes from another term called daemon or daimon. Daimon or daemon. And a daemon or daimon was what was called a great spirit, what's just below a god. That's what a daimon is. So you have a god, and to me that definition means a lord over a reality, a personified figure that regulates a portion of reality. Its archetype is fixated within how energy is conditioned within a reality. So you'll hear about the trickster archetype. You ever heard of the trickster before?
Yes, because we have that in E5, and we also have that in Christianity, where you have Eshu, the trickster, Elegwa, the trickster. But what we also found was that if you actually get deep into E5 thing, you'll find out that particular energy existed before actual Olodumare.
Exactly. So this thing, if it existed before that, and that's a very old practicing system, then this is embedded probably in reality into the factor of reality and how things work. We just gave it the name, the trickster. We gave it the name. That's not what it is. It's really just an energy.
Right. And they also say that in Ifa that Olodumare went into triple darkness to find Eshu, and triple darkness is a feminine energy, and Eshu is often depicted as a little male child, but actually, when you think of what triple so-called triple darkness is supposed to be a feminine energy. So that's another weird thing that kind of happens, at least in Ifa. So
Yeah, this is a weird thing. But it's all the mythology is relative to understanding the layers of how these energetic forms come into our understanding consciously, mentally. So going back to what we're speaking of, Aleister Crowley, that's what the Goetia is. Now, Crowley followed a tradition prior to what the Thalamite or Thelema tradition is before it comes out of Golden Dawn, because previously he was a part of the Hermetic Golden Dawn order. But the Hermetic Golden Dawn order and the Thalamites come out of another tradition called the Sabbatean Frankism, that is the inner society of the Illuminati. If you don't know what the Sabbatean Frankists are, then you're missing a big piece to what and how the mysticism or belief system of the Illuminati works. Why are they so debauched in their ritualized practice? You know, when you understand who Sabbatai Xavi is and who Jacob Frank is, then you start to really know who runs the world.
So that's Jewish mysticism, right?
No, it was Sabbatai Xavi was a Jewish man who was told he was the second coming of Christ in 1666. You can see the 666 connection. He proclaimed to the world after being told from another prophet that he is the second coming of Christ, and he is what is proclaimed as the Jewish Messiah or the Jewish Christ, the Jewish form of Jesus. Now, the difference between him and Yeshua is that he reversed all of moralism. He basically told the world that everything that's debauchery and degrading or low vibrational is the actual way to get closer to the divine, since the divine was created in a duality between evil and good. He believed in something called Lyrianic Kabbalah, Kabbalistic practice. Lyrianic Kabbalistic practice is what you can look into to get a scholarly understanding. And what it is that they believe that someone in the physical universe has to do enough evil in existence to balance out what the divine is. Does that make sense?
Kinda.
Okay, so if all of us are taught to be good, we have to be good. You've been taught to be morally right. Pretty much people are taught to be morally right. If everyone, we can kind of say that most households are told to be morally right. You're not supposed, and I'm talking about the extreme. You're not supposed to kill nobody. You're not supposed to the R word. You're not supposed to do all of these type of things. They believe that someone has to do those things to keep the order of the universe. Someone has to do the extreme. I'm talking about the PDF type thing. Do you know what a PDF means?
Yes, definitely. Yeah.
Okay. That they believe that somebody has to do the PDFing to keep a balance. They believe that somebody has to do incest, and they do practice incest to keep a balance. So basically, how it went down, Sabbatai took about 1 million Jews. He was in the what is that area? I can't remember the name of the area. It's by Palestine. It's near where Palestine would be today. And there was a Ottoman Turk ruling in that region. He was a sultan, and he didn't like Sabbatai Zavi. I'm gonna have to pull these names up in a minute, but he didn't like what Sabbatai represented. But he allowed him to be in that region because it was bringing a lot of money to the economy of him just proclaiming that you could do these things. So there was a lot of rituals going on where you could sleep with another person's wife. You could perform certain acts to people's children. You could do all of these obscene things. And they believe that there was nothing wrong with it. And not only was there nothing wrong with it, you are getting closer to the divine by doing so. The Sultan got so fed up at some point with Sabbatai that he told him, either you convert to Islam or we're going to cut your head off. Sabbatai ended up converting to Islam, but he consulted with the prophet who told him he was the Messiah. I'm forgetting the prophet name. I'm forgetting all of this right now because I'm forgetting the names, but you guys can look it up. So this prophet that told him that, he pretty much said, yeah, it's a good idea to become Islam because they believe that the 3 Abrahamic religions are what's called the Qliphoth of the Kabbalah. Now, the Qliphoth, like I said earlier, is the backside of the Kabbalah. It's basically the shadow of the tree. If I put a tree in front of the sun in a garden, the tree casts a shadow. That shadow of the tree is what the Qliphoth represents. Now, what they're not going to tell you is that the shadow casted from the tree, Kabbalistically, is in reality the true tree, and what you're looking at as the wood or the plant is the fake tree. It's crazy stuff. Everything is reversed. That's why these people are doing inversionism. That's why I call it. Everything.
Is that the same thing as like when you get into Hitler and how he had this symbol of the Nazi swastika that was actually once
that's the part that's prime Sabbatean Frankism. Sabbatean Frankism is about inverting energy or inverting things, making belief systems flip the opposite, making ideologies flip the opposite, and converting energetic values into the opposite. Reversing the equation of reality is what Sabbatean Frankism is.
But you know what? It's crazy when you talk about that, though. We also have the same thing in Palo and in African tradition. We go into the Muerto, right? So you have people that work with the chaos energy versus the actual order energy. Would you see the Orisha? The Orisha are probably like the light energy, and then you have the Muerto, which are like the chaotic dark energy, which is like the dead and the things that are like probably a little bit more darker.
Yeah, well, yeah, that's the Qliphotic. That's the Qliphotic form of things. Whenever you get into the darkness, and this is Sabbatean, Sabbatai Zabi, by the way. But what I was speaking about earlier, he converted into Islam, which they believe was good because they thought if you if you converted to Islam, you're going, well, from what their belief system is, he's going into the Klipot, he's going into the darkness, just as Jesus went into hell to get the keys, quote unquote, from Satan, you know, in the whole Christian belief system. It's a necessary thing. So he converted to Islam, and then he becomes what's called the Don May. That's another term that people would call these people. So he took Islamic tradition and he took portions of Judaism and he combined them, and he made this debauch, obscene form of it, a practice where now he got a bunch of Islamic practitioners and Judaic practitioners together to do these rituals, as far as sleeping with each other wives, doing obscene acts to kids, doing all these types of things. And eventually he's murdered, he's done away with. But then comes another guy who picks up his practice named Jacob Frank here. Now, Jacob Frank comes from a wealthy family. He does what Sabbatai Zevi does, like 10 times worse. I can't even go through all of his history right now. And then he clicks up later with Adam Weishaupt. Adam Weishaupt clicks up with one of these Rothschilds, and they form what's called the Unholy Trinity. And this is the start of the Illuminati. A lot of people don't get the base history. So Sabbatai Zevi passes Sabbateism to Frank. They combine it. It's called Sabbatean Frankism. And the Sabbatean Frankism is adopted into Adam Weishaupt's form of the Illuminati, the Bavarian Illuminati. And then the Rothschilds, they begin to convert the actual industries of the world behind the practices, the inner society, the esoteric society of what these two men started. And now we're all pretty much caught in the rungs, or we're moon children, we're ritual, we're batteries to fuel their system. We're living in their world. They've cultivated the world into how their mind works. So when you saw in like the early or mid 2000s a big push for LGBT, if you notice, that was a big push for LGBT, and then later they kind of converted that and brought the Black Lives Matter in. And throughout the Black Lives Matter, that kind of changed into T-Ran's Lives Matter. I don't want to say that on your show, but T-Ran's Lives Matter. That whole thing is Sabbatean Frankism. Now in every TV show, there has to be a representation of this, and I can tell you why. They believe, first of all, Sabbatean Frankism is practiced today. They have incestual relationships with each other, their families. They aren't Jews, they aren't Islamic, they're none of this. They're literally the people that we call the Illuminati. They practice Sabbatean Frankism. When you hear about people eating other people, you ever heard that? There was a recent KFC commercial.
Yeah, I've seen that. Yeah.
That's Sabbatean Frankism. Humans aren't supposed to eat humans, right? That's
heck no. Yeah, it's cannibalism. Yeah.
Cannibalism is an inversion, is opposite. So whatever is opposite of the nature of what a thing is supposed to do, they believe in exploiting that and doing it to try to get the opposite vibrational polarity drawn up out of that isn't being accessed. So if a lot of people aren't doing cannibalism, they believe that there's some powerful energy behind cannibalism if you do it, because nobody's drawing from that source of the energy. Does that make sense? So if I leave,
Right.
if everybody uses the same Wi-Fi. If I have my phone all connected to the Wi-Fi, the internet speed on your phone slows down, right? If you have a bunch of people in the household drawing, from the Wi-Fi of the network. They created a whole other server and whole other Wi-Fi through indecency, debauchery to get energy from, so to speak. So they have these incestual relationships. They birth children out of the incestual. It was a woman that had an interview that I played on Patreon. We can't play these things on YouTube because it's too graphic and it's crazy. But she had she talked about her family having incestual relationships, practicing these type of things, and the child would have to be sacrificed. It's not, they don't have children for the child to live. I'm talking instant sacrifice. And then she said her cousins would, disappear for like half a year, then come back. And she didn't know that they were pregnant. They were getting pregnant by their uncles and stuff like that. And they would do these ceremonies. This is what's going on all across the world. It's a secret tradition. There's higher, upper tier members that's directly connected to what we call the Illuminati, or what's the cryptocracy, because the Illuminati is like a shape-shifting quasi identity being. It's not one thing. They've infiltrated the Freemasons. They've infiltrated politics. They've infiltrated the sports industry. They've infiltrated every industry. There are also other organizations, Skull and Bones, fraternal orders, your common AKA, Q Dog, all of these things. There's people that are arms and legs to the bigger order, so to speak. That is the front or outer society. The inner society are the actual people that's practicing Sabbatean Frankism.
So what about voodoo? You hear about, I just interviewed a guy who's a Bokor or Boko, you know what I'm saying? And he talked about, he practices the dark hand of the voodoo aspect. So is that considered also Sabbatean? Like, at what point is African spirituality connected to this? Because you'll see like a lot of parallels. Is this where this all came from, or did it come from those people that you just said, the Holy Trinity? And then you have like the Africans that are mimicking this, or did they get it from us? And then we are just not aware in those practices that these things exist.
Well, everything comes from us, from a base level of understanding. It all comes from us, but like I'm saying, they manipulated, they've taken these things and they've created a debauch system out of it. Now, voodoo is a religion. It's a religious spiritual practice. It's a egregore created in the astral plane for those people of Haiti to connect to their ancestors. Just like in Yoruba, they did the same thing in Western Africa, Nigeria, Yoruba land. That's their system that they created to connect to their ancestors, to a energy relatable to those ancestors that practice that. So that was a entirely different thing. I mean, you have individuals that'll take the system and do some wild shit, with the system, but I don't think that it was created to be directly Sabbatean or something like that, because you hear about, different voodoo priests may eat people or do stuff like that. That's something separate. Okay. But they do believe that the first people to ever eat flesh are the Tsar people of North Africa. And they think they started eating flesh because they had a O negative or O positive blood type. And they think that some of the black nobility, not the Moorish black nobility, the pale face black nobility today have a ancestor from that original Tsar cult, who are the first flesh-eating humans that we know of today. So that's interesting.
So is that where kind of like Dracula and all those things come from? Is that this is really the Sabbateans that were really into like kind of like they were really actually the real true you would say vampire or vampiric like.
Well, I think they nature have always, there is a part of a nature to certain ethnic groups that always ate people, you know. So let's clarify that. There were some people that actually eat people. Even in the Caucasus Mountains, I read a book by Terrence McLaughlin that if it got too cold, then they would eat the women because women have more fat in their body. So there's natures connected to what's called hominids that are innate in the nature of the DNA and genetics to do certain things. So I'm not saying that cannibalism came from Sabbatean Frankism. I'm saying that they use cannibalism as a magical system.
So now you get into Hollywood and you have like all these stories about, you know, the what they call like the monochrome or the adrenochrome and the this chrome and they said that you know, because I even asked yesterday when I was interviewing brother Asir, he was talking about that, you know, even the rock and roll bands that we thought were really bands, they were not, they were just the children of those people that were put up there to pretend like they were doing music, but they were not really actually musicians, but just used to like almost like Milli Vanilli style to create like this whole thing. And that there's like this whole racket in Hollywood in the music industry of these like bloodline people that became very well-known musicians, and that their whole objective was for this like kind of a weird like coaxing of society, like when it really comes down to like the government, military, and this project that they had called the project, not paperclip, but some project they had going on.
Yeah, I mean, what was the question?
So is that connected? What you're talking about, like the Moonchild, the Illuminati Moonchild projects, were those people that were in those rock bands?
All celebrity. Listen. All celebrities are moon children, whether they know it or not. They are flesh sigils. Yeah, I just talked about the old blood type, Cherry, and the origins of it. But they're flesh sigils. That's what they are. And whether they know it or not, they are a part of an ongoing magical ritual that lasts throughout a lifetime of their life. And even after they die, some of their children, it's like they own their whole bloodline. They're government assets, but they're also assets to the Sabbatean Frankists, the inner societies of the Illuminati. Their whole bloodline, like you see Northwest, Kanye West's daughter. I feel bad for her. You could kind of already see it with Jaden Smith and Willow Smith. You know, they take these people's kids and start to initiate them. Now, make no mistake about it, we all have been initiated. We've all been initiated. We've been initiated into masonry, watching deaths, certain types of deaths. You know, we are a different brand of genetics of humans. We've seen things. We have been so desensitized to violence and debauchery that our genetics are changing. And then they have the nanoparticles dropping out of the sky, you know, from the contrails, the chemtrails, all of these different factors that play even bigger, you know, into manipulating DNA and making us something that we're not. Then you have the artificial intelligence, these other things coming behind it. And then we're also being desensitized. So it's a cataclysm of entropy to this point. And the celebrities, and I speak to celebrities, I've spoken to some of them, and they verified what I'm saying. I've spoken to a lot of celebrities, and they don't know what the hell is going on. But I tell them all the time, hey, you're going to be sacrificed. And they got to do it. They got to do it. So when you see somebody get killed in a car accident on the 38th day of their age, and then their first name equals in gematria 38, you were in a Moonchild ritual. You were a part of a magical Kabbalistic ritual. They thought of you so important to do this on that day. And we don't even know if they died in a car accident. They could have died in a car accident, or it's gotten to a point where they have certain technologies where they can kill you while you're in the car, and you just crash the car because they killed you. And they said you died in a car accident. They have waveform weapons. I could show something. Let me show you guys this. This is some crazy shit here. Hold on.
Right. And it's crazy. So say they must even know, do they know this before you're born? Like, is it through your social security number when they get that number is your social security number like that number, and based on what it equals out to is how they like pick these people? Or is it because maybe your family was in the music industry? Because I'm gonna tell you this, my daughter is very talented and she wants to be this and that. And I've had to kind of draw back a little bit because I'm like, okay, I know that I would be offering her up to us as a sacrifice. If I were to put her into that realm, her being in this charismatic child.
Listen, you could have your daughter become a tennis player, and if she gets good enough, they're going to sacrifice her.
What?
Yes. People don't understand how serious this thing is. Everything that generates energy, if she becomes a sensation in tennis, if she becomes a sensation in soccer, if she becomes a sensation in fashion, they are going to sacrifice you. There is no negotiation. You don't have to sign a contract anymore. That's the old days. This is 2025. They don't need a contract from you anymore. My cousin used to talk about the blood contracts in Los Angeles. He signed a blood. He had to prick his finger and put it on a sheet for him to get a song on I think it was the PlayStation game Saints Row. One of the main songs on there is for my cousin. They don't have to do that anymore. You sign a non-verbal agreement by getting into the social order of celebrityhood. So that's why you're starting to see streamers get killed now. They just killed a streamer like last month. He had a mysterious death. I forgot the name of him. But even people like Kai Cenat you see they're parading this I Show Speed guy around. He's a moonchild.
Yeah.
He doesn't even know he's a moonchild. They're getting ready to sacrifice. They're preparing. I'm not telling you they're going to kill or do these things tomorrow. They do these things very slow. They do it slow. They can kill you tomorrow. They can have a meeting and say, this is a good day to kill a Negro. This is a perfect day. They look at the numbers and they say, hey, we got to get a sacrifice today. Who do you have that have good numbers? Like there's a good alignment that we can kill them. What they're going to look at, they have a whole mythology all around you. They look into the etymology of your name. They look at your astrological natal chart. They have this thing. They probably have a quantum computer compute most of it so they can have their targets lined up or have an ideal of who they want to sacrifice a year before it even happens. Shit, probably 5 years, who knows, before it even happens. And people think that's crazy. Look at this. Scientists have developed a technology that allows sound to navigate through a crowd and reach only one person. Look at the picture of this. Look at that. That's a weapon. Go get the TV series Castle Rock. They talked about this sound in the forest called schism. They were showing you voice to God technology. And even in the series, the father of the black child, who was a white guy, he called it the voice of God. He said it was God speaking to him. But they're talking about the voice to God, the V2K tech, in which they tested it on Iran and Afghanistan when it was over there, Baghdad, where they spoke in a Iranian or whatever language they speak, or Arabic language, and told them that they were Allah in their head. And they believed that Allah was telling them to do orders. And they started having these people kill each other by beaming, using this psychoacoustic sound technology. They have so many different weapons that we don't know about that I'm seeing patents of. And they're using it on celebrities. As you see Ariana Grande at the Oscars or the Grammys, I can't remember, either one of those. She was speaking about her new album called it's called like Brighter Days Memory Erasure Clinic. That's the name of her album.
Yeah, yeah. She said she's practicing something that helps her to remove her memory.
That goes into that tech that I'm talking about. That's a part of that tech. She's a moonchild. She just admitted she was a moonchild.
So do these people know that they're moonchild children, or do they're just famous and they just are going through their life, you know, in fame and don't even realize that they're about to be sacrificed? Or is it a thing where they know that this is the thing? Or maybe in the past they knew that they were moon children, you know. What is that?
I think most of them don't know. I think some of them have been made aware that they are, a low percentage. And I think some of them are very much aware and are recruiting. Go get the new American Horror Story with Kim Kardashian, where she was recruiting and grooming a girl to be sacrificed. Some of them are grooming people to be sacrificed.
So do you think that even Kanye, how he has did all the symbolism and now he's on his way to Japan, do you think that he figured out that he was a moon child and that's the reason why he
got moved? Cases like Kanye. Not only is he a moon child, they see when you get into MK Ultra and the other programs they have, go get a TV series called Severance. When you're a government asset, they have the right. By the way, we're all government assets. Let me just clarify that. We all belong somewhat to the government. I mean, even some of y'all sovereign motherfuckers. Once you're in the parameter of them damn towers, they can do shit to you. So in the TV series Severance, they put a chip in your head. And you go through this bifurcation by going up an elevator, and it splits your consciousness in a day. So part of the day you're you. Then part of the day when you go to work, a new you is born that knows nothing about the you here. And it has to learn the parameters of work and the people that's at work, but it knows nothing of you, but it's still your body being used through this other you that's being born. So they're splitting consciousness. It's a bifurcation. So they split this consciousness. I believe that some of these celebrities are chipped and they have to have their consciousness split. It's called subpersonalities, and it's another term called artificial somnambulism. You can learn this term. Even a guy, Franz Mesmer, a Jesuit. By the way, the whole Jesuit order is all Sabbatean Frankism. Franz Mesmer went to a Jesuit university. He developed this term or this study called mesmerism. Mesmerism was like the TikTok of the 1800s, how to put your pet or animal or a person under a form of hypnotism. You can look it up. Look up mesmerism. Mesmerism evolves into hypnotism. So mesmerism is the first level of understanding what hypnotism is. And it's basically hyper stigmatizing the mind so they can access sub-personalities or the subconscious of the person and have that subconscious or sub-personality react to what they're mirroring it. They can make you bark like a dog and do all these other type things.
Yeah, I'm aware of hypnotism. Yes.
It's called hypersuggestibility. That's the term, hypersuggestibility. So they've subjected every celebrity to a form of mesmerism, but it's called artificial somnambulism. So all of them are hypnotized without knowing it. And they also have the psychoacoustic sound technology to hypnotize you. And at any moment you could be talking to a different Kanye. They have different parts of you trapped within you with some of these people. Someday you can get a Kanye that says something, halfway understanding, and then another day you don't know what the fuck he's talking about. And they show,
and they look different. He looks different each time. Like his
well, that's when there's another Moonchild from the Crowleyan practices where they can literally birth a astral entity inside of your body, like how you have a baby in you for 9 months. They can put a archonic being inside of you, and it can hatch. And once it hatches and begins to grow astrally in you, it changes your face. These people look more demonic. Look at what Soulja Boy looked at when he first came out. Look at what Soulja. Let me show you a picture of Soulja Boy real quick, and you'll see this with a lot of. It's going to happen to most celebrities. They look a certain type way, and then years later, they look completely different. You ever notice that?
Yeah, they do, because Kanye looks nothing like he looked before. You know what? Who else? Busta Rhymes. Look at Busta Rhymes, Dave Chappelle. They all have like this bulgy eye look and everything. Okay, there we go. That's Soulja Boy.
You see, Soulja Boy said that the Illuminati was coming for him recently. All moon children. All moon, and I can show 1,000.
So when you say moon children, because I'm trying to differentiate between, moon children is the thing that they know from birth that you're a moon child, or is it something that happens as you grow up and then you become more successful? Say like I Show Speed, right? His parents wasn't down with him streaming and all this stuff, but he pushed, and then he became very famous. And so then does he become a moon child, or was it a thing that was already known? And that's the reason why even they opened up the internet for him to even be successful. Like to have 1 million, 10 million people follow him. Is it like a thing where they opened up the gates and say, okay, let him through? Or is it something that just kind of happens because maybe the person has the charisma and then they're aware of it once that person is able to break through and become well known?
Both.
And so
the answer is both. Okay, so you have people who have. I showed the example earlier. Let me go back to it to clarify this. That you have people who are born into it, and you have people who are recruited to be ensnared into it. So both, some people, you see, it's a programmed magical political being selected at or before birth to act as a vessel for ritualized control, influence, and symbol generation across their lifespan. Their existence is orchestrated through layers, biological heredity. That means it could be bloodlines. That's answering your question. Some of them come from a bloodline of moon children, like Elon Musk. His mother, go look at pictures of his mother. His mother been a Illuminati, Illuminati-ish. She took pictures, you know, some weird pictures way back then. Social environment. So this is the people you're speaking of. They can be socialized into becoming a moonchild through, they can do trauma, or they can exalt them, praise them. Then there's symbolic triggers. This is your MK Ultra. They were given a mythic name. You'll see some people die with a name pertaining to some type of god or deity. You know, something like, what's the guy in the case with Megan Thee Stallion?
Tory Lanez.
His real name is Daystar. That's a mythic name, Daystar. The Daystar was Lucifer, Venus, the star you can see at daytime. He's a moonchild.
So we have to be very careful when we name our children.
Yeah, you have to be careful. None of it is almost to a point where it doesn't even matter, because even if you name your child, if they can look at the gematria of your child in astrology, and like I said, you can be socialized into becoming it. It's just best not to be known or famous. I would say famous, because be known is, you know, I'm not saying that everyone who's known is a moonchild. I'm saying that you can be targeted and be initiated into this thing the bigger that you are known.
So I want to talk. So let's think about this. Like some current celebrities that are probably, we even know that right now have gone through like this initiation in our faces, as we don't even realize they're going through it, right? So these numbers, right? So I know last time we talked about Jaguar, right? And then since then, a lot of things have happened. You know, our mom passed on. You know, then she ended up on Pierce Morgan. You know, a lot of things have happened since the time when I last talked to you about her. And so what part of the sacrifice happens? Because you're saying that moon children are usually given up for sacrifice, but at what point does like their parents end up passing on, and why is it that the parents end up getting sacrificed? Or you like, okay, Kanye West, right? If he's a so-called moon child, why would his mother have to pass on?
Well, that's the portion of it is when you look into the physics of sacrifice, every time somebody dies, there's a ripple effect in the universe. When you die a natural death, when you die a natural death, there's a ripple effect. It's like dropping a pebble in water. When you die, there's a ripple. So at sacrifice, what they're doing is they're causing an unnatural death. They're causing an unnatural death, and they're extracting the energy out of the ripple. They're pulling the energy out of the ripple. So it's necessary for the server, a network of energy they're setting aside from the universal current of frequency. If there's a low vibrational current, they're setting a whole other parameter on the other side of this, a bifocal aspect of it. And on that other side of it, they have to kill someone to cause a energetic valve to initiate the next conditioning of the energy fractalizing that they're going to do. So it has to be built constantly off sacrifice. Now they're sacrificing people they're doing things that we don't even see. They're killing people that doesn't even make news. They're doing this on a regular. Matter of fact, it's coming to a point where they're birthing clones or chimeras, and they're killing it because if you birth 10 clones of a person and they're not even, the clone isn't even fully conscious. It's not even fully aware of what it is. You pretty much have to do away with that. That's pretty messed up for you to create something like that. So they'll kill them and they'll use that energy. So they're doing stuff like that. They're killing their little clone projects or experiments. They're killing them behind the scenes. And then they have to do a big sacrifice to cause a ripple effect in our minds. So they kill a person named, what was the rapper that died?
What, Mo 3 or which one?
He died like a month ago. He was signed to Gucci Mane and Future.
I don't know. That's like a little bit younger than I'm 47. I don't know about you. Okay,
well, you guys can put it in the chat. I forgot his name. But they killed him like a month ago. Or they have to kill somebody that's Young Scooter. That's his name. Young Scooter was wearing it, and all of these rappers have these 5-point rings. That's the pentagram, and that's a very magical symbol. It's not a bad symbol, but it's a magical symbol. You see what I'm saying? Yeah, Young Scooter. Thank you, Donut. And they pretty much took him out for a particular reason pertaining to Future and Gucci Mane. If you line up the gematria, they've gotten to a point where people can share a sacrifice. Like the sacrifice wasn't just for Gucci, it was for Future too. That causes a fractalized energetic imprint for their server, and it ripples through our minds. We post about it, we think about it, we play his music. It was like an 800% increase of that. Sacrifice Angie Stone. Recently, matter of fact, they killed like 3 neo soul singers in 1 month, and nobody batted an eye.
Wait, what? How many? What 3? Well, so what were the 3? And you know what? It always happens in 3s, right? They always say it happens in 3s, right?
Yeah, but
they beyond that 3, huh? They
like
9.
This 3 is a big number because it's the Kabbalah is a triadic system. But it was 3. I forgot the names of everyone. I did it. Y'all go to my YouTube. I put the names up of the people who died. The guy who had the Sunshine song, he died. And it was another from Tony. A singer died from Tony. But look, neo soul means new soul. So that's an esoteric, magical moniker for the operation that they're doing. Neo soul. You see what I'm saying? So yeah, they had it, and also Stone. Angie Stone is the linchpin of the ritual. The Freemasons are stone masons. So anytime you see these rituals, always around the rock, something around a rock, because the rock represents the primal tool that man used to get around. We used the stone to cook on, initiate fire, to make wheels or whatever out of. Ron Ayers, there you go. So the stone
Roy Ayers or Ron Ayers?
Roy Ayers, Ron, it don't matter. Y'all know who the hell he is.
Right.
There you go. The stone, the cornerstone. But the stone is also a crystal. At its smallest state is a crystal. In each and every one of our cell phones, silicon are crystals. So crystals in your computer and your soul in your phone is what causes the magic. So stones are crystals as well. So that permeates to alchemy. It goes back to the Christ, because Christ is in crystal. the Christicists is what they call it. And you'll see with the going back to the Meg the Stallion and what is the guy name again?
Was it Tory Lane?
Tory Lane. I keep thinking it's Troy Lane. Tory Lane, his name is Daystar Peterson. Megan the Stallion name is Megan Peters or something like that. The word Peter or Pete comes from the etymology Petra, and Petra means stone, and Meg the Stallion and Tory Lanez met at the Rock Brunch, the Rock Nation Brunch. That's where Meg the Stallion and Tory Lanez met at. Both of their last names means rock. Both of them. So it's no coincidence. These things, if you read if the occult and the esoteric aspect of these characters are so intricate and detailed, if you pay attention, you know, some people be like, oh, y'all look into that shit too much. I mean, it's my job to look into the shit. So that's why I look into it. But it's not like I'm out here like some nerd trying to figure out. I get paid to do it. So
right. Here's a question. So do you want to ask people to come up or to ask any questions, or do you want to just keep this like?
Oh, go ahead. Yeah, that's fine. They can come up and ask questions. That's good.
Okay. And we already have Sugar Love already here. She's been watching this whole time. Sugar Love, you there?
I saw somebody back there. I saw a puppy or something in the background.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is that in the background?
Sugar Love, you there?
I don't think she left the room. Back up. Yeah.
Okay, so we'll just when she comes. If anybody wants to come up and ask any questions, please come up. What is the gematria behind this whole thing with Doge and the Elon Musk situation? Is this supposed to affect us? Should we be worried about this as a people, like Black people? Should we be worried about that?
What do you mean Doge? Doge? You talking about like the word Doge or the
I would say this whole thing with Trump and Elon Musk and the taking away the job. Yeah. Is there?
Well, I mean, there's gematria? Yeah, I've showed the gematria. I mean, honestly, at this point, gematria. First of all, gematria is the language of geometry in the Sabbatean Frankism, the inner order, and the outer order, the Freemasons and fraternal orders. They use geometrical equations to pay homage to the creator God, which is the demiurge God, whether they know it or not. Freemasonry is all a Gnostic tale. I can literally get into the Jubilant, the Jubilee, and all that type stuff. It's all about the archons and Gnostic mythos when you break it down. But the gematria is the language, the secret language that they speak. I can see numbers. I was watching The Wire the other day, and they had this guy on with a jersey with the number 42 on it. And people don't know the number 42 literally means the N-word. I'm not saying that because there's a spectrum, a polarity to it. The number 42 is a very powerful number. It doesn't just mean the N-word, but in their egregore of what they're presenting 42 as, it means the N-word, literally. So when you see 42, most of the time, like I just seen yesterday, they rolled Kareem Abdul-Jabbar out to the, not yesterday, a day before yesterday, Jackie Robinson Day. He had the number 42 jersey on, and they had to wheel him out there. He don't know. They're pretty much calling him an N-word when you see that. But I see these things. I can see them put a number up on the TV screen. I can see certain numbers in sports, and I just laugh out loud because people don't get the language. It's a language with the numbers. The numbers is a vibrational language that they use. So as far as Trump and, you know, the whole Doge, I could break all of that down, but understand nothing that's presented to you is going to save you. Trump isn't going to do anything too obtuse to the world powers. He's a power, a trickster character to dilute the power of the government, or make it seems like he's diluting the power of Congress and the government. That's what he's here to play that role as. Elon is here to usher in the transhumanist agenda. He's here to accelerate that agenda with his Neuralink and his different Tesla companies, and make people feel like they're riding around in some advanced vehicle, or make you feel superior because you got Grok on Twitter as your artificial intelligence and it can tell you stuff at a fast rate. He's just here as a pawn himself to serve as a figure of ushering in this technological age. And he took the name Tesla because Tesla was actually, he was working on probabilities of us getting access to free energy in the 19th century. And they killed him. They threw him off a building and killed him. So Elon was tasked into adapting Tesla's name in the company because they knew Elon would be this techno-gnostic wizard or whatever, to take Tesla's name and apply it to this Neuralink thing, or all his companies all under Tesla, or he's connected to Tesla. I'm not sure if Neuralink is a part of Tesla. I won't say that, but
someone did say something about what's her name? What's her name? The actress that did what's her name? That she had a Neuralink walking through town. They said that earlier in the live. We have Cato Indian Brown. We're talking about the gematria. We talked about the Moonchild. That all these people, celebrities, are actually moon children. And so anyone else also, I just put the link in the StreamYard. If anyone wants to ask a question about, the gematria behind things, also the understanding behind the Hollywood and everything that's going on with, and how it affects it, whatever you want to ask. I don't know. I don't want to direct your question. So
yeah, first of all, let me clarify. Y'all don't have to just ask me about gematria. I'm a occult lecturer. I'm a metaphysicist. If you want to get deep with your question, you can get deep with it. If you as deep as you want to go of asking what this shit is, or if we would get into the celebrities, Moonchild stuff, we get into that. And yeah, I can answer the gematria and those other things as well.
I'm very familiar with gematria, but I want to get more off into the Moonchild as to why. Because when you're saying like they're a Moonchild, is that pretty much saying they're different beings from another planet?
No. Well, hold on. Let me fix my mic. Beings from another planet. Like I said, so there's a layer to the astral plane. And there's lower astral planes called sublunar planes. The sublunar planes are directly connected to the moon. The moon is like a supercomputer to consciousness. It regulates the consciousness. Yeah, it regulates the fluidity of the oceans, the rivers, all of these things. It's like without the moon, our day would be over in 8 hours if we didn't have the moon. Our days would be accelerated. We would spin off out into the galaxy without our moon. Our moon is a very rare moon.
Well, how does that
rare moon?
How does that correlate?
Hold on 1 second. I'm gonna let you expound on your question in a second, but I'm clarifying. Okay. Most moons around the galaxy look like potatoes. There's not a lot of spherical moons. So if you get Gurdjieff's book, he speaks about the Kunda buffer, the opposite of Kundalini, in these lower planes. Why these people commit sodomite type acts is connected to something with the Kunda buffer, this reverse Kundalini flow of energy that accesses this other realm of entities that are connected to the demonic shit that we see. They can take one of those beings from that lower dimension and they can get a mesmerist, hypnotize a person, and put the being inside of the person.
Like a conscious shift, like the movie, I forgot the name of the movie where they can switch consciousness.
Get the movie Get Out.
Yeah, Get Out. They switch consciousness. Yeah.
You see how he was deep in his consciousness and he was falling.
Yeah.
And he was crying. And then you saw the other people, the black people, were walking around with white people in their bodies.
Mm-hmm.
They were still in the body, but there was a bifurcation, a split. But continue. You wanted to expound on your question.
No, I was to my understanding. Now you correct me if I'm wrong, because I could tell you probably have a little more knowledge in this area than I do. Was it a point in this so-called illusion of time that we had actually had more than one moon?
We had more than one moon.
Yeah. Because as of right now, to my knowledge, like I said, you correct me if I'm wrong. We haven't like pretty much seen the other side of the moon, and China just launched a robot to actually view that other side. So like what I'm saying pretty much is, how do we know what they're putting out there is actually facts when we don't control the propaganda and have the right, resources for us, like, because we don't control none of that, like the main news stations and all that stuff there. But I see like you speaking more of on a spiritual aspect, and I agree with you. Don't get me wrong, I agree with you. You know what I'm saying? I just want to know, like I said, like from my understanding and researching, at one point in time, I thought we had like 2 moons. And
if we had 2 moons, if we did have 2 moons, let's just go with your proposition. It was a very long time ago.
Okay.
It probably was before we had physical form, because we've been here.
Yeah.
We wasn't always looking to the 7, what is it called? The 7 root races. We weren't always physical, fully shells. There were times when we existed. Look up the pudding bag body. We were walking around with just a pineal gland.
Mm-hmm.
Literally, just like a point, and it was like a misty hue around the whole planet. So this planet has been around for a very long time. So there could have been multiple moons.
Yeah, because I think, like, correct me if I'm wrong. Anytime we speak outside of the existence of Earth, we're no longer dealing with time. Period. Do you agree with that?
When we speak about outside the existence of Earth, it depends on what you look at Earth as. I don't look at Earth as a planet.
Okay.
I look at it as a realm.
A realm. I agree with that.
So we don't really know, just as you said earlier, how do we know everything they told us ain't propaganda?
Mm-hmm.
So what if the very essence of it being a planet or some type of object, part of a galactic system, what if all of that is bullshit then? So you have to consider all the factors now. Once you go down that road, you're gonna have to ponder everything. You have to reverse everything that you thought you knew and ponder it all. So if Earth was a realm, so time is from the 4th dimension. If I was God and I was standing on a building, the 4th dimension would be like the 4th floor. I could look down into time.
Yeah.
I could look directly down into time. So time isn't the full capacity or the full
time turns it into 3D.
We experience time here in the 3rd dimension.
Okay.
But our mind it doesn't need time, because time is just for the 3rd dimension. It's not for the other aspects of our consciousness.
I get you.
It's necessary. Time is necessary in this dimension, so we can capture and imprint things to understand it. But as far as beyond the physical or the block universe, time isn't necessary, and that's why it doesn't exist beyond the fourth dimension.
All right, so we have Sugar Love. She has a question that she wanted to ask. Go ahead, Sugar Love. You gotta unmute yourself.
I don't think she can hear.
No, she's there. She's sitting right there.
Oh, okay.
You unmute?
It seems like her thing is freezing. I think she was here with us the whole time.
Oh, here she go. Here she go. Go ahead, Sugar Love.
Remember, I'm just walking in, so I had a couple of things that I want to do. I mean, that I had to do, but I was really, really listening. I wanted to go backwards when somebody had said something about when you were able to come out of your body. Some people really did experience that because I experienced it. I was sleeping in my bed and I got out of my bed and I saw myself sleeping. Now, I never practiced nothing, ever. I never practiced nothing. I never lit a candle. I never lit nothing. So it is possible that your spirit or whatever can come out of your body and see you, right? And I was like, oh my goodness, what? Look at that face. Go back in. I was like, oh, look how you sleeping. Oh, but it is true that some people can come out without knowing any of this, because I believe that is already in us. I believe everything is in us already. Now, far as certain other things, I think the study will go on, be based on where you are from. Like if you're from, let's say, Europe, you're going to do it the way the Europeans do it. If you study from the way the Africans are going to study the way the Africans are. But I believe each set of people study it the way, or they have a name for it the way they want to. So I don't believe any right or any wrong.
Okay. Yeah. So. Okay, so yeah,
when you brought up, and when you brought in the blood in, blood out, you're absolutely correct. And I try to tell people this all the time. There is no coincidence that you will hear artists or actors, oh, I just happen to be there as such a... No. They follow their people and they go to see whom out of that bloodline who can either have talent or produce or have gifts. There's no coincidence there. I was studying and he just such and such somebody said oh, Bobby Brown, just his bodyguard just nobody just happens to be there all the time. They make it seem like it's a coincidence. They know who they people are. It is blood in and blood out, and it goes all the way down the line. They just don't know whom is going to be useful and whom is not. Because if you go back to any of these artists, you will see they're related to somebody, even if in a sorority or something. I keep telling people, you didn't know, but your great, but there is no coincidence they let you in. And then some of them come to find out, you were right. I didn't know my great. But there are no coincidences. They know who you are. And it is blood in and blood out for the little bits that I was hearing.
I agree. I think, man, they got some technology to blow y'all fucking mind. That's all I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
They know things, and if you're aspiring to be famous, just know that you got to be sacrificed, or somebody has to be sacrificed.
That's the part that there's somebody. Okay, because I was gonna say, like,
No,
Beyonce,
it's
she's been here this whole time and she hadn't been sacrificed. So it's a matter of maybe like that.
You said who? Hold on, say that. Who was here?
Beyonce, like a Beyonce.
So Beyonce has killed. Do you know Beyonce family reached out to me? You know how many people don't die from Beyonce family that y'all don't know?
Thank you.
Beyonce cousin reached out to me. It was one of her male cousins was sacrificed.
I'm sorry, your dog is barking. Sugar, I gotta mute you. Hold on, while your dog barking.
It was a male cousin that was sacrificed about 2 years ago. She sacrificed her gay uncle like last year. No, it was the year before last. She had a gay uncle that had to be sacrificed for her album to come out, not the country album, the album before that, where she was parading on the four horses of the apocalypse. People are sacrificing Beyonce family all the time, basically, what I'm saying. Y'all just don't get, the big articles. I've showed plenty of sacrifices from her family, and her cousin reached out to me because they wanted me to take a post down because it was too much. I put a lot of gematria in it, but then they got on the phone with me. They was like, tell you the truth, we didn't know about that science, but some of us in the family felt like we were being sacrificed. On her matrilineal side, the house of Darion, I think that's her matrial name, Darion, her mother's mother. It's like Darion or something like that. But that side has been getting killed. I don't know about the father side, but that Darion side has been getting killed.
Really? So do you think it's a matter of do you think that she is calling for the sacrifices, or do you think that the people that are wanting to push her, elevate her, make money off of her, they begin to say if so like a Kanye, do you think he knew his mom was going to get sacrificed, or do you think that as he rose in fame, then the people that were in power decided, okay, well, listen, we're not going to kill him just yet, so we have to find someone in his family to continue to push this energy out and push what he's doing, and then probably the producers or people that's helping him when he does his videos, put all those symbolisms in or whatever, because he is like an icon, and so in order for us to get our symbolisms out there and to do this to the people, we need to keep this icon living, right? I'm just an icon living, right? Isn't that what Will Smith's son said? I'm just an icon living, right? So you have to keep this icon living. And then they say, okay, well, we can't get rid of this icon just yet, but we're gonna have to get rid of this to keep that going. Is that like how it goes, or do you think that's how probably it goes?
Well, first of all, you have to have the right date, the right numerology in astrology for the time that they take you out. So did he know? I would doubt that he knew that. He didn't know. But once you're in the industry for a certain amount of time, like I heard a video of him clarifying who was in the Illuminati. He took a phone call. He was like, oh, you didn't know that? Yeah, he's Illuminati. Yeah, she's Illuminati. And then he took the phone call into the next room. So some of them know, but they are only knowing of the outer society. They don't know the people that's actually in the room doing these real rituals. The real rituals, like the people who tell the Rothschilds what to do. These real Sabbatean bloodlines, like they don't know those people, and I would doubt they would ever know them. But there's certain orders that's handed down that a certain amount of people have to be killed. The Jesuit order is in control of a lot of that. They're in control. As a matter of fact, in the last BMF show, Black Mafia Family, they showed the Jesuit order symbol several times in that show. Even on Snoop Dogg, they showed it on him. And in The Wire, I was watching The Wire, they had the Jesuit symbol in The Wire. And I was like, why the fuck would they put a Jesuit symbol in a black TV show? But if you understand the Jesuit order, They have to kill a lot of black people. It's necessary to kill a lot of black people because the Jesuit order's main enemy in history was a guy named Martin Luther.
Oh, the black Martin Luther.
No. This is a white Martin Luther.
Oh, the white one that was killing over there. I think I read up on him too.
Martin Luther was someone who wrote the 95 Theses. Basically, he exposed the Catholic Church. He was the start of now this is a big lesson. He started the Protestant church.
Yeah.
Now listen, Martin Luther King, that's not his real name. His name is Michael Luther King.
What?
This is a big lesson. This is a big lesson.
And your phone is breaking up, Kato. Keep going.
His name is Michael Luther King. They made him change his name to Martin Luther King because Martin Luther is the Catholic Church's #1 enemy. And what was Martin Luther King known for? Protest. You get it? Protestant church protest.
Yeah,
that's magic. I'm showing you.
Yeah.
They've created another paradigm around the civil rights and made another enemy, which will become black people, melanated people. Yeah, he died on the 95th day of the year. That's another thing. Martin Luther King died on the 95th day of the year. Good shit, Travian. And the Martin Luther, the white guy, he wrote the 95 Theses. You see how numerology played into that?
Yeah.
And dying on 4/4, the word kill equals 44 in gematria. Kill equals 44. Also, 95 in reverse is 59. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. That Erykah Badu ritual, when she put on the BBL outfit at the Billboard Music Awards recently, when she put on that big butt outfit, that was 59 days after they killed Sarah Bartman, a black woman that they would have in human zoos because she had a big ass.
Yeah, had the big ass. Yeah.
She was voluptuous, but they made it like she was inhuman, and they would parade her around.
You know what's so crazy is that almost the day before that, maybe 1 or 2 days before that, we did a show on BBLs and talking about how black women should be more modest, and we brought up Sarah Bartman. We gave a tribute to Sarah Bartman, and like about a day later, Erykah Badu did that presentation. So it's some weird stuff going on. I'm not gonna lie.
It's called It's called syntheticism.
Do you have your gematria chart pulled up in front of you? Because I know it's like an app that you can go to, not an app where you can go to and you can type in gematria effect. Do you have that in front of you, or are you going straight from your mind?
I'm going from my mind.
Hey, you got a good memory, man. You got a good memory.
Your phone is kind of breaking up a little bit, Kato. It's kind of like breaking up.
Yeah,
drop down and come back up. Drop down and come back up. It's like every other word is like cut off. Listen, another thing I wanted to say is that when we talk about like these celebrities and like these numbers like all like adding up together, I think that's crazy. Fuck, it just left me. I had a really good thing I was about to say. Dang on it. What the hell just happened?
It happens. We getting old, man.
Right, we getting old. I had a good thing I was going to say, man.
Hey, it happens to me all the time. So, because I have a lot of thoughts.
Getting old as hell, you know. Go ahead.
No, I'm just saying. It was 59 days after Sarah Bartman's birthday or death day, either a birthday or a death day, one of those. And they do these things from a point a person die, or from a point a person is born, or from a point a person dies. They do these calculation of dates and they tie these people together, or from a point of a album release. They could have an album release or a big project or a movie, because a lot of times these movies are connected to a lot of rituals, like what movie you participated in. I think they killed, what's the guy that's in the Keanu Reeves movie where he be killing people? They killed the guy that's at the condominium, or the name of the hotel. I can't even remember the name of the hotel, but they killed him based on 2 other films that he was in. And I broke that down thoroughly, why they killed him. And the guy who played Omar in The Wire, he was in Lovecraft Country. He had to play a gay man twice. Well, I think he played him 3 times. They killed him based on Lovecraft Country. And I did the numerology based on that. So they'll kill you based on a film. They'll kill you based on a music project, or they'll kill you relative to dates, to birth dates and death dates to other people that have either a similar name to you, that's connected to you, or they do it all types of different ways. And it's a movie called Murder by Numbers with Sandra Bullock in it. It was the Continental. What was the name of that actor? So the guy at the Continental. But Sandra Bullock's movie, Murder by Numbers, will tell you how they do it, why they got to do it. Go get that.
Okay, all right, here we go. I finally figured out. Okay, Tyler, the Creator, had an album called Chromatica. And that particular album, are you aware of that? The Chromatica album?
Yeah, yeah.
And how that, okay, so you have adrenochrome, right? So yesterday I was talking
you can't say that word on YouTube, right?
Oh, you can't?
No, you got to get another mark on your video.
Oh, Lord. You can't say it? Oh, Lord.
Yeah, just say achrome.
Okay, so achrome, right? So then you had Tyler Creator say Chromatica, because I was saying, is that a real thing? Is that a thing? A real thing? Is that the actual name for it? And then I said, okay, well, what he said is that no, that's not actually the name for it. There is different aspects of it. That's where you get the Chromatica and different aspects of those names. That what that achrome really is. It was in Hollywood they named it that, but there's other names for that same exact thing. Are you aware of that? And because we go into this Moonchild aspect and that achrome thing.
Achrome is melanin. I proved that scientifically. I can bring up my scholarship on it if we need to go there. Achrome is melanin. That's all it is. They just brought, I can show you the molecular structure of achrome and show you the molecular structure of melanin, and it's the same.
So achrome is an actual real thing.
It's nothing but melanin. The raised dopamine levels at the point of fear and anxiety. And at that point, when you draw the person's blood out, when they're in fear or have anxiety or these things, it does something. It's like a psychodesiac, an aphrodisiac, or a psychedelic to when these people either drink it or use it as a drug or something. They can turn it into a drug based on, the fear, the dopamine levels within the blood. That's all it is. But it's a form of melanin. And there's an article clarifying why it's melanin that I showed everyone.
Please share that with me, because I would like to just know that in general on
before. Okay. Go ahead and continue. Let me find it.
Yeah, pull it up. So Sugar Love, you were saying something because you were talking the whole time and then we couldn't hear you. You gotta unmute. Go ahead. There you go.
You have to unmute. I'm gonna leave this right there. I'm gonna leave this right here because I could be on this topic forever. Look what happens after every one of Eddie Murphy movies, and I'm gonna leave that right there.
What happened? Okay, just look up. So, what happened after every one of Eddie in the movie or outside the movie? Sugar Love?
I don't sure.
I said,
don't
look
know.
what happens. Even when he took his breath, look. He gonna come up with it.
After the movie, is it inside the movie or outside of the movie?
Not the movies. What
Something
happens
happens
after even while it's being made? Look at people after the movies.
So we're going to have to look into that because I don't know. That's a riddle right there. And then you had like the Minecraft movies, how they were acting a fool about the Minecraft movie.
No, look at all the great. Look at all the greats who passes away after they do a movie with them.
Well, one thing I'll say that
as soon as I see
every prominent
it's a great that pass.
Oh, so every time he does a movie, a great person passes on.
Great. Remember even after when he out of nowhere he came back and did the what's that one wrote the cop show that the white guy passed away. He did the Harlem Nights, 2 people. If y'all go back before he did the one with the boxer, his brother, baby, you better go back and see right after his movies, right before it released. Look, remember Red Fox and the other lady passed. After all of his movies, after all
people in the actual movie go pass on.
Even down to Richard Pryor. When you go back and look at every time he do a movie, just know a great or somebody is getting ready to kick the bucket.
It's not just him. Like all of these celebrities.
I was just using him as an example.
Yeah, but I'm clarifying your point that these people are what you call walking curses. They're walking curses because of the gift that they have. The Sabbatean Frankists have created an inversion, entropic magnetism to them. You get too close to them, you can get sacrificed. Or if you're in particular films, because art is magic, magic is art. It's the same thing. They have to do these particular sacrifices connected to the main mythical character, which would be a Eddie Murphy or these top celebrities. And they will be killed off at some point too. But they think it's art the way they kill these people numerically connected to these different movies that they were in.
James R. Jones.
Notice what's the guy that wrote The Roots?
Alex Haley.
Not Alex Haley.
Alvin Ailey.
The guy that was in Coming to America, Eddie Murphy's father.
James Earl Jones.
James Earl Jones died last year. And right after he died.
Right after they did the Coming to America movie.
Well, he just died last year, but right after he died, 2 months later, they come out with Lion King. And he was the voice of
wow.
This movie, remember, he passed away in the movie also, in the part 2 of Coming to America.
Well, he died as Mufasa. No, that was a lie. That was a lie. If people say that he died in Coming to America.
No. I'm saying he played the role. Remember, he passed.
Yeah, because people were saying that he passed away.
He wasn't the only one, but it always happened after his movies. Always.
Right.
And even if you tie the Lion King to it also, that's what they numbers up.
But people were saying that he died.
They put it right in your face. The point that I'm saying is they put it right in your face where you can't miss it. If you you could tell now, okay, oh snap, oh okay. Oh, okay, right. Then you see the
But
start.
but hold on. But okay, who passes with Tyler Perry movie?
Huh?
Who's passed with the Tyler Perry's a billionaire? Who's passing on his movie? Now here's the real question: is a sacrifice always someone passing? Is also the humiliation the sacrifice?
That's a portion of it. They could humiliate you, put you in jail, put you in a story like the brother that was in love, Jonathan Majors. That was a form of a sacrifice, having him be humiliated with getting chased by the white woman and pretty much ending his career. I mean, it didn't end his career, but it took a lot of money he would have made in his career. He can't make that type of money right now. He has to play roles with lesser money because people think it's a risk of having him and his image a part of their films. That's a part of a sacrifice as well. And sometimes
I want to get into that. It's like it's not always a blood sacrifice. Sometimes it's just some crazy, stuff. The person gets put in jail. The person might be, like even right now, what's going on with P. Diddy, it's its own sacrifice. I want you to bring that up because I want to get into that. What you're about to show.
Oh well, shit! I had it up. Y'all seen it? Y'all seen the evidence? You want me to bring that up?
We can't see it. We can't read it. Some people on their phones. We don't. So
okay. I didn't know because we were talking about something else. I didn't know.
No, I do want to get into what you're saying, but go ahead. I'm sorry, Sugar Love. What you're saying, Sugar Love?
It depends on how much money you want to make, right? Each certain amount of millions of dollars, like if you want to be with the $5 million and under, you got to do certain things. To get to that $25 million, you got to do certain things. Payday, you want to get to it depends on how much payday that you want, right? So if you want, it's bad that you still stuck in there regardless of what you do, but it all depends on how much money are you willing to make. If you want $5 million and under, so start. And if you technically none of the money belongs to them anyway, that's why they can't pass it down to their kids, right? So none of the money belongs to them, but it all depends on how much money you want to make. Right. And then when they want their money back or whatever, they hit you with the taxes or a scandal.
Yeah, Leslie got hit with the taxes. And I'm still trying to figure that out. That whole tax thing was crazy. I'm like, what the hell? But before we go deep into that, I want to get into this melanin thing because he's saying that chrome thing is melanin. And that's news to me.
Because they worse than the FBI.
Yeah,
hold on 1 second. Hold on.
Let me read this because I didn't see this.
So it's reduced by oxidation of adrenaline after it's entered pre-existing conjunctival pockets or cysts. The material is acellular. Melanin is the generic name for a group of widely distributed naturally occurring substances responsible for the varying shades of brown-black pigmentation found in plants and animals. It consists of pigments of high molecular weight derived from oxidation of phenols. Adrenaline is a phenol, which under the influence of phenol oxidases is oxidized to the unstable substance achrome and finally produces melanin.
What?
So achrome is nothing but a unstable form of melanin, and melanin is the stable form of achrome.
So is this something that happens like just in general with us? Like if I like get scared, my blood will produce a melanin response, and then that response can be achrome. Is that what that's saying?
Yeah, your blood produces something called phenols. The phenols is a miniature or a fractal aspect to what the makeup of melanin and achrome is.
So what makes it more special if it happens in do more like happen with younger individuals or is it why wouldn't it be that it's taken from adults versus younger people?
You said why would it? The younger
Why
people,
would they need the younger people?
There's something
to
called
do that?
interferon in younger people. The interferon is like pure, fresh melanin. It's melanin that hasn't been, your blood and your body elixirs haven't been corrupted with McDonald's and Chick-fil-A over damn 30 years. So it's pure. The interferon is pure. So through children, the purity of their blood and their elixir, their bodily elixirs, can be more useful in a achrome melanin extraction more than an adult would be.
Is DMT also melanin?
DMT is a form of melanin, yes.
Okay, so you get DMT from ayahuasca. That's why lately you've been hearing people taking the ayahuasca plants, and because you hear all these elites saying
You get it from any psychedelic. You get it from any psychedelic.
Right. So what they're doing is, instead of like just going to ayahuasca or DMT, they're just saying, "Oh, okay, well, they want to go even further out and just do this direct, like it's almost like a direct shoot."
Well, you have naturally dimethyltryptamine, what DMT is, in your body, in your head, within the neuromelanin of the body. You produce dimethyltryptamine. You can meditate yourself into a psychedelic state. The plant is only activating the dimethyltryptamine within the neuromelanin of your glands, your pineal, your pituitary, your hypothalamus. So you naturally have all of that in you. You're just using the plant to activate it.
So you're not getting it from the plant. The plant is actually just triggering a response within your brain.
Yeah, it's pretty much, I mean, you're getting something from the plant, but it's already in you to trigger. So you can use the plant to trigger it, or you can learn through triggering it through the plant, and eventually get yourself off the plant and access it without the plant.
And I think they had the same thing with this burundanga. That's the thing that they're using to get people off of heroin, different like drugs and like opioids and things like that. That's interesting that people are utilizing these things, but then they take this from this form is more of a potent aspect of that. And Lord knows where they're going with that and how long it lasts, or if it, because I've heard it makes people feel younger. Is it more of a trip that they're looking for, or is it more like they think this is like eternal life? This is like the Garden of Eden.
I'm not
by
sure.
Taking this in.
Say that again.
By taking the melanin out of like that form of doing it, is it more about them trying to remain young, or is it more about the trip that they get when they take it?
Okay, so the staying young,
like almost getting into vampiric aspect.
Yeah, the staying young proportion is just more aesthetics to the skin. Mm-hmm. Immortality is non-linear and is linear. So they are, being a Satanist pretty much means you want the physical dimension to continue its simulation. That's pretty much what true Satanism is. You want to continue this human shit. You want to continue the block universe. You want this stuff. You want things to be used as energy generators and continue it. So these people they can have immortality. They can figure out a way, like they're looking into advanced research. It's called nanophysics, of how to put machines in your body to correct the way biologically you respond to things like disease, so you can have a more effective approach of eliminating that, so you can live for a longer time. That's linearity immortality. But a non-linearity immortality is what they're doing with artificial intelligence, or they're creating this digital aeon where you can upload your consciousness into a digital realm and create a digital clone of yourself.
That is what sounds like this whole thing with these robots and AI is really about. That's what I was really getting to. is that if you are able to artificially extract this thing from the human body, and then it's able to then take a natural thing that goes into your brain and then create a unnatural response. What I believe is that what they're trying to do is create human consciousness in these robots, find a way from to take our consciousness out, because they think that they want to they're trying to live forever, right? So they know that our bodies are fallible and that they have a expiration. So what better way to do this? Because they've seen that the Egyptians, they've seen that they tried to do it, that these sarcophaguses and all these like different tombs, you know, they thought that they were in like a hyperbaric chamber where they would like be able to come back at some point, right? This is this is just my thing, because like a lot of those tombs look like those you know, on science fiction movies.
It's more advanced than that. They weren't trying to come back to this realm. The reason why they mummified the body and created those tombs, and they put certain sacred geometrical lines throughout the tomb, was energy signatures. What they were trying to do, the soul doesn't fully leave the body until your body fully decompresses. I mean, fully disintegrates. The soul is still there. Now, your astral body instantly leaves, but your soul, it takes time through the disintegration process of being in the body. So what they were trying to do by mummifying the body, it gave them enough time, if they were already, because Egyptians probably some of the most spiritual people ever existed that we know of. If you had already practiced getting out of the body, which they did, a grain of sugar on their tongue was like cocaine to them. This is how spiritual they was. They would mummify the body, and it would give them a chance to slide by the archons and get back to the Sirius server of consciousness, the Sirius star, which was a star they said was like a pinnacle zenith of consciousness out there cosmically, that if you could get to Sirius through this trip called the Duat, if you can get past Ra, the sun god, and these other, you know, dimensional demons that they describe, like Amit, then you can slide into what's called Universe B and get out of this creator universe that our consciousness went through a split bifurcation in becoming a hominid human form of. We could go back and be the God that we were in the chaos spheres of consciousness, the Tiamatian realms of consciousness.
Tiamat.
The Tiamatian realms before we slid into Universe A, or got trapped, if you want to believe it like that, in Universe A. It was a metamorphosis process to rebuild how we analyze and observe information and consciousness, because we're discovering that dark matter is information and information is dark matter, and dark matter has a mass and an entropic effect on reality that we didn't know about. That means within 320 years, because we're speeding up how computer servers dissect and process information, which are, you know, small bits, and then it gets into bytes and terabytes and all of this type stuff. In 300 years, we will have the size of the moon informational field on this planet, which will begin to rip this planet apart because of how much information is causing a entropic effect on the planet. And they believe this is what happened to the Atlanteans and other civilization. They had used too much quantum computing, and they developed a way to extract information too quickly, and it caused an entropic effect and started to have geophysical effects on the planet, like floods and hurricanes and earthquakes that rip things apart.
So that's the same thing you think was happening with CERN? Is that like the biggest quantum computer there is?
Well, no. CERN is just a small process. It's all of these things, the things that they're developing. All of these different stations that we have across the planet where they have quantum computing and servers all contribute to this entropic information catastrophe that we're heading towards. in a few hundred years, not just CERN. CERN just analyzes particles. It's all. It's not even a quantum computer. It's just it's called a Large Hadron Collider. All they do is smash particles together to understand it better. Now, whether they're doing other stuff with it, yeah, we suspect they are, like opening dimensions or stuff like that. But I'm speaking about pure data centers, collection of a bunch of data. These type of places is what we're talking about.
Man, there's so much to uncover here. It's been 2 hours and 30 minutes, and I'm not gonna keep like just picking your brain because this is too much. We'd be here all day. You know what I'm saying? I want to see if Sugar Love have anything that she wants to say, and then I want to get some final words from you. And we gotta bring you back because there's too much. It's like, wow, we gotta figure out a way to like just continue to like bring this information. I'm working on.
I love this.
Man, this was
I
awesome.
love this.
This was
hopefully
wow.
Awesome. And hopefully he come back, right? Because we are speaking about gematria, but maybe he can break down the basics of gematria for people, like the A, B, C, D, like 1, 2, and 3. How like when you see certain numbers and how go back around, because a lot of people don't understand just the basics of it and how they keep getting back to the 369 or the 8 and what does these things mean. So hopefully he'll come back and give us the basics, because this is very interesting, and I really enjoyed his whole entire presentation.
Appreciate you. And you guys, if you want to get ahead to understand what she just said, you can go to patreon.com/THE_spiritual shade room. And I have a Gematria 101 course, a 102 course, and a 103 course that you can look into. I break down angel numbers, demon numbers. I break down the basics, A through Z, the reverse ordinal. I break down the Pythagorean reductions, all of that type of stuff. With gematria, we've broken that thoroughly down, and we continue to do it. I give a presentation every week on the gematria rituals that they did that week as well.
Man, this is awesome, man. Listen, people
and drop his link down.
It's
down,
right here. Patreon.com /spiritual_shade room.
No,
it's only $5. By the way, I want to mention it's only $5.
It is $5. Hold on, let me drop it down. Hold on,
$5 a month.
All right.
And I would like to just say to you people out there, if you have not hit that like button, it don't cost you nothing. Make sure you hit that like, and if you are not subscribed to this channel, make sure you hit that subscribe. But let's keep my girl in this algorithm, just in case you
your phone's breaking up, Sugar Love. But listen, I'm gonna say it for you because I know what you're trying to say. Listen, this is my channel, you guys. Okay.
And make sure you check out my man. Make sure you check it out. He said it's $5. Believe me, it's really worth.
It's worth it. It's worth it. I'm going to join myself. I have kind of like lost touch with but something just. I've been doing all these interviews and talking to different people and
Greek and Egyptian.
Yeah. Gematria came from Hebrew Kabbalah. When you learn it, make association with the Greek and Egyptian Kabbalah. Exactly. So, hey, listen, I will find all that out. I want you guys to check his page out. Go check him out on Spiritual Shade Room. Please check out my page. If you're on his side, please come to my side and just give, even if you don't, just like the video, please subscribe. Because we're gonna bring him back. You're not going nowhere, Ani. I love you, and now you have to come back some more. You now are you know what I'm saying, you have to come back. So this has been great. I mean, I've learned so much. And really, I do this for the people that are watching, but I really do it for me because I'm learning. You know what I'm saying? I learned so much by the people that come to my shows. And, you know, I said, you know what? I'm talking to all these Moors. I need to revisit Ani because he talks about a lot of these things and how it is affecting us today. It's one thing to constantly talk about what happened in the past, but how is this affecting us right now? And what are we looking at right now? What's happening right now? And how is all these things, when you go into the Moorish science, when you go into the Hebrew Israelite, like, okay, all that's great. And people are debating it every day. But what's going on right now? And how is all this affecting us right now?
Yeah, I respect everyone. You know, I love, you know, more science. I teach about more science.
I guess
well.
this is StreamYard.
Yeah, there's like a delay, Sugar Love. Every time you're talking, you're interrupting everybody. I'm gonna mute you real quick because you're you know, he's trying to say something real quick.
No, I was just saying I appreciate it, you know, everything y'all said and anything.
No, StreamYard is acting up. Everybody's cutting off.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah. Go ahead, Ani, real quick.
No, I'm done. I'm just saying I appreciate you guys, and yeah, I will be back. And make sure you go to Ani Osaru on YouTube. Subscribe to my YouTube. I'm going live this week. I do a very big video, at least 2 of them, you know, per month. And we go about 3 hours, you know, when we do it. And Patreon is the place to be. Go to patreon.com/THE_spiritual shade room, Camophis Academy. Really, if you really want to learn something and get an intricate breakdown, Patreon's a place to be. Or you can reach me and get a gematria reading. I do life readings where I break down a whole person's life. And I include, you know, some astrological references, whether it's Chinese, Vedic. You can get that at StarTribe777@gmail.com. Email me and we can set up an appointment for next week.
All right, is it Star Tribe?
Yes, StarTribe777@gmail.com. Yep, that's correct.
Okay, let me put that in the big one. Listen, we gonna have to listen. I want to do this because, like I said, you know, my audience is mostly male. A lot of them are like different, you know, beliefs. But I think that this information is powerful, and we have to like even if we do like a half hour or hour once a month, and then we just push the Patreon and push people over to your side to get like some of this knowledge, you know, because it's one thing because what I'm seeing is a lot of debating. Everybody's debating each other and fighting against each other, and it's like, dude, we're past debates now. Right now, we're in a situation to where all these things are happening, and they're happening quick. AI is moving quick. Every technology is moving quick, and we are just stuck in debating about some stuff that happened thousands of years ago. We need to get up with the future. We need to begin to talk about AI. We need to get to talk about all these rituals and then get past the rituals and start talking about what's happening right now and how to circumvent it by knowing things like gematria.
I give the solutions, by the way. Most of my information, I give very high metaphysical information, how to use your tuning forks, how to access different dimensional realities through meditation, making your whole life into a magical universe. I get deeply in depth with the deities and other aspects of things as well. So we're not just here talking rituals all the time. That's just something we need to pay attention and understand that's happening, that people kind of omit because they don't want the extremity of this stuff to, you know, bother their, you know, wholesome life and make them think that this stuff is going on, but it is going on, by the way. But there's also things to counter it and what we should be doing to absolve ourselves and eventually, once we leave this body, be in a better place. And we teach you how to do that very effectively than what you probably ever heard of.
And you know what? Like I said, I have a lot of men that watch this channel. Like, it's probably like, I would say 79% of men. And, you know, sometimes we get so caught up in the warrior spirit of debating our beliefs that we don't even think about what's happening right now. We're not even talking about Armand. We're talking about if the Hebrew Israelites and if this in the Bible said this and the Bible said, man, what are we gonna do right now? And I need us, some of my male people that's on my channel, that the 79%, to go check out Ani and go ahead and check out some of the information he's doing. And here's his Patreon again.
Appreciate it.
You
We
know,
don't do no debating on our end. We get together. We got a bunch of people that are just as wise as me, and we get on camera and we have a metaphysical, esoteric, big palooza understanding. Share some of your information. Share what you've seen this week, and we do this. We have the regulars, and we have other people in the chat, and you're gonna get a big dose of knowledge every week.
right. And AI does watch videos. That's why we need to be watching more of the real stuff, because AI is watching everything we do, and we need to be like actually trying to having our conversations about AI. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
And this is where you go. Go ahead and check him out. Much love and respect. Shouts out to brother Ani Osaru. And I can't wait to have you back on. It'll probably be next month. You know what I'm saying? And we're gonna work on it. So
appreciate you. Thank you for having the platform. I will be back. And y'all have a good one now.
peace.
Alchemize your energy. Darling, let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. Alchemize your energy, my friend. Let your spirit be free. Don't give up. Keep on pushing through. Now is the time. It's all up to you. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, but over tragedy. No matter the storm, we will always take flight. Keep on pushing through the darkness of night. There's no limit, let's reach for the sky. Shine so bright, from darkness to light.